talk some Alabama recruiting. There was a surprise visitor that made it to campus this weekend for that 42-16 beatdown of USF on Saturday at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I got it right first time. All right. In this video, I got Tim Watts from BamaOnline. We're going to talk about a few of the major developments that went down this weekend. But first, Alabama fans, lock in, hit subscribe to the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube, the On3 Recruits channel. Hit subscribe for me, please. All right. Let's bring on Tim Watts. Now, Tim, 5-star defensive lineman Justice Terry showed up in Tuscaloosa. A bit of a shocker to us all.
Yeah, I think not a complete shocker. We had got tipped off a little bit that he could come in. Now, when you got a guy like Justice Terry, we've heard that before, and he hasn't actually made it. Other times he has made it. So we were poised and ready. So the minute he hit campus, BamaOnline had a story up, and we, that what we expect to be the impact of him visiting, and just, monumental moment for Alabama to get that guy on campus. One of the elite players not committed, 5-star across the board, defensive lineman, very big visit.
Yeah. Everybody on our not just our network, I mean, everybody has him trending to UGA, but this is his second visit. He was there in July. He's back again in September. I mean, these visits are kind of adding up and becoming consistent. Do you expect that we see him maybe once or twice more before he makes a final decision?
Yeah, for sure. He's already said he was coming for the Alabama-Georgia game, which makes sense. I mean, he's looking at Georgia. Obviously, I think you have to say Georgia's a factor in this, right? I don't think you can eliminate them at all. But also, you heard the same thing about Caleb Downs, Justice Haynes. There's a list of guys that were Georgia locks, and I think that was what everyone said when he decommitted from USC, that he's going to commit to Georgia, and it wouldn't take long. Well, it's taken a lot longer than they expected.
All right. Now, there's been some buzz around Bama's commits from the SIP. But this weekend, both were on campus. Running back A.K. Deere and 5-star wide receiver Caleb Cunningham were both in Tuscaloosa. What's the latest word on those two coming out of the weekend?
I think Mississippi just has a reputation where people think kids always play games. I mean, A.K. Deere has said he's solid. He doesn't say a lot now, but he has came back-to-back to Alabama. We've had people that saw him. He's very excited. His family comes with him. I think he's closer to Alabama than any other college in the country, in fact. And then AK and Caleb both coming in on the same weekend. I think Caleb drew the most interest because he went to Ole Miss last weekend. And look, we've been doing this a long time, you, Josh, and I think these kids should take visits if they want to. I've always felt that way, but especially with the portal. But getting Caleb back on campus, getting AK Deere back on campus for the second time in a row, very important.
Yeah. But Tim, you know how it goes. Like you said, we've been covering this for a long time. 90% of the times when a committed prospect takes a visit to another program, especially in-state, it's just a visit. But that 10% is what the Alabama fans remember, and they just want to know, is there reason for concern? Speaking of, one Alabama commitment that took a visit but not to Tuscaloosa was edge Dawson Merritt. He was in Lincoln for that Nebraska-Colorado game. Any concern there?
I mean, it's recruiting. I don't think there's ever not concern. You know what I mean? At some point in every recruitment, there's something that makes you worry. You don't have to recruit them to get them committed. You got to recruit them to get them signed. And then when they're on campus, you got to still, to some degree, keep recruiting them to keep them on campus. So there's always some concern. I mean, the two things we say is you go by what they say and what our sources believe they say and how they act to the staff. And Dawson's been great the entire time. But you also say follow the visits. I mean, the one thing you look for in a situation like this, did Dawson Merritt sneak over to Nebraska or try to keep it a secret? No, Alabama knew about it earlier in the week, knew that he was going to take this visit. He mentioned that possibly earlier in the year. So that's at least a positive for Alabama. How that it affects, I guess we'll find out in the next few weeks. I do know he's expected to visit Tuscaloosa in the future.
Well, it's a good sign that he reached out to the staff beforehand. That's all you can ask for. All right, let's keep that Mississippi theme going. The number one player in the 2026 class out of Mississippi is Bralan Womack, and he was on campus this weekend. Seems like a priority target already. Where do you think Bama stands for him?
Yeah, I think they did a good job. I mean, again, you're talking 2026s. I don't know what point that you really start figuring all that stuff out as far as commitments leads, but well, Alabama's done at this stage as good a job as they get. The visit was very positive. I know he likes the secondary that Alabama has, and he's going to have an opening. That's one of the things when you look forward in the future, you've got guys leaving for Alabama. You got Malachi Moore who'll be leaving, Keon Saab's draft eligible. So you've got guys. And also the one thing I think that's really impressed everybody when you look at it, Alabama rotates a ton of defensive backs in. They did it in the first game. They did it in the second game. They're getting a lot of playing time. We've seen young guys in that secondary play in Red Morgan, cornerbacks, and safeties who get a lot of playing time.
Yeah, good bit of freshmen making an impact already for Alabama. So Bama fans, talk to Tim and I. How are we feeling about this 2-0 start, and what about recruiting? Let us know. Comment section below. Tim Watts of BamaOnline. You guys got a website that is buzzing this morning. Appreciate you taking a little time to stop by the Inside Scoop.
Anytime, Josh. Thank you.
Well, you've made it to the end of today's video, but there's hundreds more videos on the On3 Recruits channel for you to check out. And also, while you're here, hit subscribe.